Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today we are doing a Game Week 11 100 FPL Experts video to try and find out some of the transfer trends among those who are just engaged managers, really, those in the know, those people who know exactly what they're doing, exactly what they're talking about when it comes to FPL. We're going to try and find out what they are up to and, of course, find out who they are captaining this game week. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been pretty stuck this week as to who I'm going to transfer in, out, whatever. I'm sure a few of you guys are in a similar situation, so hopefully this is really going to help you out and help you catch on to the trends of what those in the know are doing. And, yeah, hopefully this is going to be a good one. And let me tell you guys, whilst compiling this data and trying to present this to you guys, there was a few surprises. There was a few things that actually caught me off guard, surprised me a little bit of what kind of the trends are. So hopefully this is going to be an interesting one. I really do hope you do enjoy it. And if you do, of course, please do leave a like. It really helps out the channel. Every like does. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here. We're on 98,000 subscribers now. Can we push to 99,000 subscribers by the end of the week? Maybe. Let's see. Can I do that with your help, of course, guys? But before we do anything else, let's have a look at the 100 FPL experts that helped me out this game week. So here we have the 100 in front of you. You might recognise some names, you might not. We've got Dan Cross in there, obviously the moderator of this channel. We've got some people like FPL Dagger FC, a fantastic creator from Trinidad and Tobago. We've got FPL Animate, who does a YouTube channel where all the players are animated on screen, which is pretty cool. So yeah, just loads of people on there. FPL Sonaldo as well, the darling of FPL Twitter, if you like, at the moment. Yeah, really appreciate all of you guys getting involved to help me out to compile the data for this video. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So first of all, guys, here we have the general trends. What are people up to in very broad terms? 56% of managers are making one transfer out of our experts. 17% of our experts are making two transfers. 3% of our managers are making three transfers. Usually there's just one per week making three transfers. One person going a bit crazy out of the 100. But this week, we've actually got three people going crazy making three transfers. 24%, so almost a quarter, are making no transfers at all. A popular reason for that is to try and make sure they have two transfers ready for across the international break. You know, often we get injuries and problems like that during the international break, so it's nice to save that extra transfer for that time. So 24% are doing that exactly, and no one is using their wildcard this week. I guess partially because a lot have already used their wildcard, but also because, you know, if you're choosing between this game week or next game week to use a wildcard, next game week does sound a little bit better. And a few did mention to me that they would be wildcarding next game week because, you know, it's during the international break, so again, a perfect time to play your wildcard. So there we go, guys. That's what the experts are up to. Let's have a look at the next page. And it's the page I like, guys. We get to see what the overall FPL player base are up to. And I think this is really useful because what we can do here is we can have a look at what the most popular transfers are across all FPL players, every single player in the game. So this is not expert data. This is the total transfers for each player as things currently stand, and kind of try and compare that to what the experts are trying to do compared to what the general populace of FPL, perhaps the more casual, less engaged manager is up to. So as you can see, Reece James tops the chart there. Over 500,000 transfers in already. That's quite crazy, really, isn't it? Smith Rowe also very popular. Gallagher very popular there as well. And then Ramsdale, Chilwell, and then going down the list, some people, some players slightly less popular. So there's quite a big split here. Loads of people going for your James and your Smith Rowe. After that, you know, there's actually not too many transfers flying about, to be honest. So, yeah, you can really see a really strong trend here. Now, if we look at James, Smith Rowe, Gallagher, Chilwell, Tony and Son, these players are also popular among our experts. So there is, particularly at the top of the table here, we're seeing a lot of crossover between what the less engaged managers are up to versus the more engaged managers. So perhaps, guys, if you fancy yourself as an engaged manager, and trust me, guys, if you are watching videos like this, you can't even consider yourself a casual player anymore. You know, you are a fantasy football nerd, just like me, just like our experts. We're all nerds together. We've got to get used to it. But yeah, it seems like everyone is kind of on the same page for a lot of these moves. But I am going to highlight a couple of players who none of our experts have brought in this week. And those two players are Ronaldo and Mendy. Now, Ronaldo, obviously, he got a good score last game week. I think maybe because of the popularity of Ronaldo and Manchester United, people are very keen to get him in at any good point. So if Ronaldo gets a good score, there is obviously going to be a lot of people who will bring him in. Our experts don't agree with this one. I would probably not be bringing in Ronaldo ahead of a game against Manchester City either, so that's kind of understandable why our experts are not going for this transfer. And we've got Mendy here as well. No one is bringing in Mendy, partially because the premium goalkeeper is not very popular amongst the experienced manager. Experienced managers typically don't want to spend too much money on a goalkeeper most of the time. Anyway, this is just very blanket statements, of course. But yeah. Interestingly, I also make a point often that try not to waste a transfer on a goalkeeper, and obviously Mendy would be wasting a transfer on a goalkeeper, but you can also see Ramsdale here, and Ramsdale has far too many transfers in. This is far too many people taking a punt on a goalkeeper. We saw the same situation before with Sarr. Just because a goalkeeper gets a really nice score one game week, it doesn't mean they're going to get it every game week. And there's every chance that the goalkeeper you have already is going to be the next goalkeeper to get that 10-pointer. But the reason why one person out of our experts did transfer in Ramsdale is because they had Raya for Brentford. He was unfortunately injured last week. They were waiting 1 week to see what kind of goalkeeper they fancied going for, and they decided on Ramsdale as their Raya replacement. So if your goalkeeper's injured, suspended, obviously that's understandable to make a goalkeeper transfer, but in general, not something that a lot of people would not recommend that. So among our 100 experts, back on topic, who were the most popular transfers out? Well, here you can see the list. Sarr tops the list by a long way, and that to be fair, that kind of surprised me. I didn't really know that so many people had Sarr still in their teams. But guys, if you do have Sarr in your team, this is a really nice time to hop off him. I did kind of mention Sarr as a potential sell in our buy, sell, keep, avoid video yesterday, and I'm very glad to see that our 100 experts do agree with this sentiment. Azpilicueta, obviously not played in a couple of games now for Chelsea in the Premier League. We're kind of thinking, oh, maybe he's not as nailed on as we once thought, particularly with Reece James. Doing very well at right wing back. He's kind of taken that spot. At centre back, we've got Chelsea. We've got so many good centre backs playing really well at the moment. Some we perhaps didn't expect to take such a forefront in this Chelsea team. We've got, for example, Christensen. I'm sure we didn't expect him to get quite as much game time as he's getting, and of course the young guy Chalobah as well coming into the team and taking up some minutes. So actually, Azpilicueta is not as nailed as we once thought. So a lot of people are hopping off Azpilicueta now. Completely understandable. Diaz again been a little bit disappointed the last couple of game weeks. We're kind of seeing that Diaz is not really offering too much other than clean sheet potential. But when the clean sheets haven't been going Man City's way over the last couple of game weeks, I can understand that can be really frustrating. So Diaz is not really, he's an expensive defender who is really only going to get you clean sheets, maybe bonus points, very, very rarely any goals or assists. And I think what we're seeing with a lot of the fullbacks in the Premier League this season is they're playing really advanced, they're being really creative, they're taking plenty of shots, and therefore we do want to go for those sort of wing backs who are taking more shots, the defenders who are taking more shots and getting more assists as well. So Diaz does not fit that category. I think a lot of our experts are kind of adapting to that now and taking out players like Diaz, similarly taking out players like Azpilicueta. And there's a few other people in there. Antonio, kind of an interesting one. Some people think you should keep Antonio, some people think you should sell. I keep changing my mind every single day, so don't ask me if you should keep or sell Antonio. I really don't know what the answer is, and it's going to depend a lot on your personal circumstance as well. But 7 of our 100 experts are removing Antonio from their team. So if you are removing Antonio, at least you're not alone there. But I would imagine that most are, judging by this, and most will be keeping this game week Antonio in their team, because probably around 60-70% of our 100 will probably own Antonio anyway. So yeah, it's a good indication of not too many people are actually selling. I know he looks like the 4th most sold player, but actually if you compare that to how many people actually have Antonio, he's actually probably being kept by the majority. So I don't know, make of that what you will. We've got Rafinha in there, which is kind of interesting. I didn't really expect too many people to sell Rafinha, but there they are. But a few more others here are kind of more understandable. Benrahma, Gray, Townsend, kind of a little bit more understandable sells. You can see the lower down the list, these are all kind of really understandable sells. These are kind of players that you would typically be selling this game week as well. Other than maybe Vardy, which is a controversial one. We are going to come back to a little bit of Vardy talk just a little bit later on in the videos, but for now, I will say 4 people are selling Vardy this game week. It's an interesting one. Let's come back to this one. Let's come back to people selling Vardy because it's quite weird. But anyway, before we do that, let's have a look at see kind of what players are being brought in by our experts. And here we have it. This is what I always like to call the short list for the game week. So if you are planning on making a transfer in game week 11, these are the players who I would put top of your short list, because these are all the most popular players being bought in. All of these players are being brought in by at least 2 out of our 100 experts. So quite the significant number there. So yeah, there's some really popular ones at the top and some not so popular ones at the bottom. So we can see at the top, Smith Rowe, super popular. This really surprised me. I would never really think that Smith Rowe would top the list of the most bought in player of our experts. I really did not see that coming, but I completely understand why. He's a really cheap player. He's in good form. He's playing in a pretty good looking Arsenal team right now. Smith Rowe's kind of in all of the right and good positions at the moment for scoring those goals and potentially getting assists as well. He's brimming with confidence, and he plays Watford next. So a lot to like there. I do kind of understand that, and I know a lot of people are trying to see if they can shift a little bit of money around to potentially get some Spurs players in as well. People kind of talking about Son and Kane. You can already see that Son and Kane are pretty popular, people buying them in now, but not just people buying them in now, but people also trying to reserve a little bit of their money to buy in a Son or a Kane later down the line. But yeah, Son and Kane pretty popular as well. Son is joint third most popular transfer in, as you can see. But again, you're seeing James and Chilwell, and we keep talking about this every game week. James and Chilwell are the 2 players that you absolutely must have one of. You absolutely must have one of these 2 players in your team. And guys, if you are slacking behind and you've not got one of these 2 in your team, we're seeing the same trend every week. More and more people jumping on these 2 players every single week. These 2 players getting more and more points, and you're getting left behind a little bit in a way. Both of these players rested in the midweek Chelsea European game. Everything points to going towards a James or a Chilwell if you haven't done already. Now, our experts suggest that James is probably the right one to go for. I don't really think there's much in it, to be honest. In reality, James slightly cheaper, but I think maybe Chilwell is slightly preferable for the long term. I don't know. Like I said, there's not much in it. Go for whichever one you want, but just make sure you have one of them. If you want 2 of them, crack on by all means. That's kind of up to you. If you want to double up, completely fine. That sounds like a good tactic as well. Other players in there, Tony, we've seen a lot of people bringing in Tony for Antonio. That's kind of a very standard transfer at the moment. And Bumo as well. So those 2 Brentford attackers, the 2 main Brentford attackers, coming up against Norwich this next game week, game week 11. So yeah, they're going to be really popular as well. We always like to target Norwich, don't we, with our transfer. So really good moves there. And then some other, random players at the bottom there as well. Regulon maybe a kind of interesting one to go for if you fancy a bit of a differential defender now that Conte is at Spurs. So let's suggest some transfers to you guys. I should tell you before, I know I've spoke a little bit just then about Kane and Son. We're not going to talk about Kane and Son in the suggested transfers just because they're quite difficult players to get into your team. And I know depending on the way your team is structured and set up, it's going to be really different, really kind of situational depending on your own team. So I'm really struggling to recommend direct transfers for those players. If you can figure a way to get them in and you want to do that, then fine. But yeah, I don't think I can really help you too much with getting in Son and Kane because it's really going to depend on who you've got in your team. For example, we spoke about Vardy earlier. Maybe Vardy is a swap to Kane, but anyway, I'll stop blabbering on about that. Let's suggest some actual transfers. So Azpilicueta and Diaz, these are the 2 players who are the most likely candidates to swap for James or Chilwell. Obviously, if you've got other defenders in your team that you don't really like, you've had them for a while, you've decided you don't really want them anymore and you want to get rid of them, then yeah, fair enough, get rid of them. But Azpilicueta and Diaz are interesting ones because they're players that most people have, well, a lot of people have anyway, and they're very obvious moves to James or Chilwell because we know that Azpilicueta and Diaz, they're just going to be offering clean sheet potential at best. Azpilicueta not even nailed on anymore. James and Chilwell are offering clean sheet potential. Chelsea have been doing really well for clean sheets, but also those crosses in, those passes, playing very, very advanced up the pitch, taking shots in the box and scoring goals as well, which is really, really amazing. James and Chilwell are the 2 players you're going to want to go for, one or the other, or both, if you really want to, but Azpilicueta and Diaz make sensible moves to them. Like I said as well, Antonio to Tony, really box standard move. If you are in the camp of not keeping Antonio right now, like I said, I don't know what camp I'm in yet. I think I'm probably going to keep Antonio if I'm totally honest, but if you're in the camp of selling Antonio, then Tony is going to be your ideal replacement, I think. Particularly, guys, if you are trying to, again, like we were talking about it before, trying to save that money, try and bank some money, put some money away for that Son transfer, for that Kane transfer. You need to find the cash. Then Antonio down to Tony is one way of getting a little bit of that cash back into your team. And for the second lot of suggested transfers, I think we've got to talk about Emil Smith-Rowe, or ESR, if I've written him down here as, and Mbeumo. These are the two most popular midfield transfers in. Well, I think they are. It might have been Son slightly more popular than Mbeumo, but I don't think there was too much in it. But certainly these two players are around the same price. These are the two players that a lot of people are targeting as their midfield replacements. I put Sarr here and Benrahma as the two most popular. Well, Sarr's definitely the most popular transfer out. So Sarr to an Emil Smith-Rowe or Mbeumo, super obvious, really obvious transfer moves that you could just go ahead right away and do. Benrahma was a pretty popular transfer out as well. Rafinha was actually a slightly more popular transfer out, but I know this is meant to be a video about the expert's opinion, but I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable telling people to sell Rafinha, even in a video like this. To be fair, when I was looking through the people who were selling Rafinha, it was kind of more for restructuring purposes. So in a straight swap from Rafinha to an Emil Smith-Rowe or Mbeumo, I don't think anyone will be quite as convinced by that one. But yeah, maybe a little bit of conjecture there by me. But Sarr and Benrahma, really obvious transfer moves to these two, or an Everton midfielder. So we did see a lot of people selling their Townsends and their Sarrs, and maybe they've still got Decores sitting around in the clubs. It's a pretty easy direct transfer again to Emil Smith-Rowe or Mbeumo. So if you've got that Everton midfielder still kicking around your team and you don't want him anymore, really easy transfer for you to make. Don't even need to think about these ones. If you're going to ask me who to go for out of Smith-Rowe or Mbeumo, I think I prefer Mbeumo just ever so slightly personally, but that is a personal thing. I've seen already different creators, different pundits, different podcasters, whatever, will all be saying different things. Some do prefer Smith-Rowe, some do prefer Mbeumo. In this given game week, I think Smith-Rowe was a slightly more popular transfer in than Mbeumo, because a lot of content creators and the like already have Mbeumo in their team already. So for that reason, we can't transfer in a player that you already have. So yeah, I think if you already have Mbeumo, then Emil Smith-Rowe is very obvious. If you don't have either of them, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. I'm not gonna make up your mind on which one you should go for. But yeah, personally, I think I slightly prefer Mbeumo. But let me tell you, there is not much in it. So if your gut is telling you something different, follow that gut of yours. And finally, we come to the captains. No surprises here to see Mohamed Salah at the top once again. Slightly less than last game week. I think last game week wasn't he at something like 96, 97% captained among our 100 experts, which is incredibly high, right? Almost everyone was going for Salah. But this week, a little bit different. Partially more difficult opponent in West Ham away. That is a little bit more difficult, but also because Salah didn't blank last week. He only got 5 points last week, which, you know, for Salah, that sounds like a blank. 5 points is considered pretty low. So that's maybe putting a couple of people off going for Salah, maybe giving a few people the confidence to go for a differential. But it should be said that it is still almost unanimous. 89%, 89 out of 100 is still an enormous number of all people going for the same captain. So it is going to be, again, the situation where if you don't go for a Salah this week, you have to be prepared that you're potentially shooting yourself in the foot. You could really suffer by not going for Salah. And as long as you understand that before going for someone else, then, you know, it's up to you from that point. But yeah, Salah is going to be really popular amongst all the top players in FPL. We know that, and 89%, 89, 90%, that sounds about right. And I say it's probably going to be a similar thing for the next couple of game weeks. But just in case you wanted to have a look at some of the differential captains that people are going for, Vardy, 4%. So like I said earlier, a little bit of a weird one. Some people selling Vardy and then some people captaining Vardy. I wonder if that's a kind of a little sprinkling of what's going on in FPL right now, where there is a lot of conflicting opinions right now on what you should do, where you should go. Lots of people trying to take different directions. Some people really have confidence in Spurs, for example, right now. Other people just want to stay away. There's going to be conflicting opinions right now, which is interesting, and it makes FPL fun. So maybe you have Vardy and you want to sell him. Maybe you have Vardy and you want to captain him. I don't know. It could be either one, guys. Do let me know. But then a couple of other differentials there. We kind of got Tony and Mbeumo both playing Norwich, so you can kind of understand targeting the fixture rather than the form of the player. Chilwell against Burnley, kind of interesting. I think Chilwell is got a really good chance of playing, 99% chance of playing in this game. And super high chance of a clean sheet in this game as well. So at minimum, you are really looking at 6 points and with potential attacking returns there as well. So it could be pretty explosive. And then a couple of people, Kane, Son, going for a Spurs attacker versus Everton under the new management regime of Conte. Everton obviously have been abysmal, particularly in defence recently. So yeah, could be an interesting differential there to go for a Kane or a Son as well. So yeah, exciting stuff. And those are the captain options for you this game week, guys. Again, Captain Salah, or don't say I didn't warn you. So there we go, guys. That is the end of the video. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do make sure you leave a like on the video before you disappear. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done already. We've got to target 98,000 subscribers by the end. No, 99,000 subscribers. Sorry, by the end of the week, before the deadline. That would be pretty awesome if we could do that, and I think we can indeed. Tomorrow there's going to be my team selection video, so I'm going to try and finalise my decisions tonight, guys. Whilst you're watching this video, whilst you're chilling out, I'm going to be stressing out non-stop trying to figure out my next transfer moves to try and break to try and win FPL essentially. Wish me luck. But there we go, guys. That's just about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.